Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. And hey, Trojan fans, celebrate every Trojan win and enjoy the sweet taste of victory with a free donut at Ralph's the day after the win. Download your digital coupon from the Ralph's app to score your free donut at any Los Angeles area Ralph's store. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Keeley-Orr, and our new pitching coach here for USC Baseball, Sean Allen, joins us now. Coach, how are you? Welcome to Trojans Live. Welcome to the Trojan family. You come over from Ohio State. You have a resume of big schools behind you. What drew you to this opportunity?
Yeah, really, I think the program speaks for itself. As a player that came here, and I believe it was 1999, and got to face, I think number one team in the country. And at that point, you kind of knew what this place was made of. And, when I was a player, it was the mecca of college baseball. And then after that, the staff. The staff's really, if you look at the resumes and the things that they've done, the College World Series appearances, the national championships, and, people that I know that know Coach Stank, just how high they spoke of him. I knew it was the right place to, come in and try to help them get over the top and get back to where this program's been.
Did you and Coach Stank have a previous relationship or any kind of mutual friends that's why you're here?
Yeah, mutual friend. I was working for Coach Bill Mosiello at Ohio State. Him and Stanky were childhood friends, and so they were super close. And when Mo decided to go back to TCU, he kind of hooked us up. And, I think we're both – Stanky and I are very similar in our baseball – I don't want to say background because he was a much better player than I was, but just baseball people, and we hit it off right off the bat.
When you get to campus and evaluate the roster, what is that process like? How do you get to know the pitchers and whatnot?
It's tough because it's during the summer and they're out, pitching, and at that point for baseball, you're out recruiting and hitting the road trying to, fill needs at this roster plus rosters in the future. So it's more phone calls and trying to get to know kids and, watch them in the summertime on video or just looking at stats and stuff. But really, it's a little tough just because you really don't get to put your eyes on them until you get to campus here in the fall. So the good thing is that, my previous stops, it was a whole staff going over somewhere trying to take over or, trying to rebuild the place. They've been here for a couple of years. So I kind of get to build off of what they've done already. They've got a head start on the recruiting process, and that walked into a pretty good situation on the mound. So,
you're listening to Sean Allen, USC Baseball's new pitching coach, and obviously we talk about this modern era of baseball, and there's so much analytics going into it. I'm curious your philosophy as a pitching coach, because baseball is a funny sport, right? I mean, you'll talk about spin rate and all this data that you're getting now, and then ultimately, Dave Roberts is looking Blake Trine in the eyes and saying, "Can you get me one more out?" Right? So there's still the two sides of baseball. Where do you stand on it? What's your methodology?
Yeah, I'm right there in the middle. I think if you don't, progress and understand the analytical piece, you're going to kind of get left behind, especially on the recruiting piece, because that's all these kids see and hear and know. It's all over Twitter, and I think a lot of what we try to do is just try to, simplify the noise that's in their head, because there's a lot of information out there, and I think paralysis by analysis. I think every sport out there is having that right now, and just trying to get guys to simplify and understand what they're good at. And then whether that's showing them on the analytics piece and or just, what hitters are telling you. Because at the end of the day, hitters are going to tell you if your stuff's good enough. And it's been like that for 100 years. It's going to be like that moving forward. The computer says, hey, it's a good pitch, but hitters are telling you that it's not, and they're starting to drive the ball in gaps and over the fence. Well, we got to go make a change. So, I feel like I'm right in the middle from the old school and definitely some of the new school. I think in the college level, trying to get guys to understand what their best fastball is, whether that's a carry, four-seam ride type fastball or sinker. I think that's where I start and then kind of build from there. But also understanding that the kid himself, is he a big, analytics type kid? Is he wired that way? You got to feed it to him, so, and then other kids could care less about it. So right there in the middle.
Coach, we go through it as Dodger fans here in LA. We just went through the playoffs and won the World Series, and it was a great ride. And you get to watch how they use staffs and what pitchers come in at what moments. What's important to you, as the pitching coach, to building a collegiate staff, and what does that look like at the college level?
Yeah, I think just making sure we can try to put guys in the best situation to be successful. I think at the college level, there's not quite as defined roles as like you see in the big leagues of, you got your setup guys, you got the closer who
lefties up, here he comes in.
Right, and you don't have the 3-out minimum rule in college, so I think you can put some guys that maybe aren't able to, get multiple outs in an inning. You can utilize guys left on left, right on right in college, trick some guys with guys that don't quite have the stuff. And I think that's a unique aspect of college, of trying to build a staff versus just signing a bunch of good pitchers. The one unique thing right now is like my best staffs we've had like a sidearm right-hander. There was a different look that guy's not really in pro baseball, but you can do it in college just because it's a different look. Hitters aren't able to adjust. So, I would love to have, the type of arms that they do in the big leagues. And, the one thing that's I think is awesome in the playoffs is that's college baseball every single day, because they're putting their best guys when the game's on the line. If he's the closer in the 7th inning, the game's on the line, that's when he's running out there. And that's kind of what you see in the college versus just regular season or pro ball. They run their close out there in 9th inning for 3 outs, and that's it. So I love postseason baseball.
You're a vet in the world of college baseball. I'm curious from your perspective if NIL has affected roster construction for you guys, especially because there's unique scholarship limits for a baseball team. So curious how that's impacted you guys.
Yeah, it's impacted. I think 15 to 20 schools out there. Other than that, I don't think there's a lot of kids making a lot of money in college baseball like you see in other sports, but it has impacted the last 2 years. You see, look at the top, and those teams have been at the top pretty consistently, and the portal is pretty heavy. When we left Ohio State, we had several kids jump in, and they all end up in SEC schools making pretty good money. So it's impacted the game for sure, but I think it's kind of taken away just because the parity in college baseball for a long time was really, really good. And you could have mid-majors, have a chance to get into a super regional, get to Omaha. When we were at Texas, we played Tennessee Tech in a super. In this day and age, I just don't see that happening with the way rosters are built with NIL, but hopefully with the new rev share and all that, we'll see how things end up. But hopefully the parity comes back into the game a little bit.
Talking recruiting, would you rather have a big arm, but you have to teach command and location, or somebody who has command and location and you got to squeeze out a couple more, ticks on the radar gun? Yeah,
awesome question. And I'd like to say both.
Thanks.
You nailed it. I think it's got to be a good mix of both. And I think you got to understand, as a coach, what you're good at, what you like to work with. There's some guys out there that, long, projectable. We got a couple incoming kids that we just signed that are 6'4", 6'5", thin bodies, 87 to 90 guys right now. And you watch them move, and you can put your crystal ball on there and just go, okay, like 2 to 3 years, this kid's going to be 92, 95 and have a chance. But he's a pitcher now. If I had it my way, it would be pitch now, stuff later. But you've got to have stuff. You watch College World Series, the best staffs in the country, they got 6, 7, 8, 10 guys that are, low to mid 90s, and they can pitch, so you can't not have stuff and win in college baseball, so finding that kid that can command it and have the stuff to go get guys out, get the swing and miss is a big part of it. So, it's a fine line, but I would say both. But being picky, I take the kid that can pitch, that knows how to pitch, and we can build and add strength to him.
Sean just wants you to teach him how to get the $800 million contract.
How about that one?
Is there a way to get
You're
that
talking
one?
about recruiting, and I sent the staff this morning Juan Soto's swing when he was 16 years old.
Was it the same?
No.
It's not any good.
Oh, he was bad.
I mean, it's not bad, of course.
I mean, he was in the bigs like 2 years after 16.
Yeah, but like you watch him, you're like, man, like we're watching video all the time, and I'm like, I'm not sure you take this kid just based off the 16-year-old swing.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, there's a chance. But it's just baseball's tough. You never know when the light switch goes on, and, some kids are really good at 15, 16, and that's kind of where they stay. And then, you look up, and it's like, where did this kid come from? And, 10 years later, the kid's, he's worth $750 million. So pretty impressive, but it's not an easy sport to gauge.
Yeah, I mean, USC almost signed Giancarlo Stanton to play football
Right.
back in the day, and he went to the draft. Only one team wanted him, and totally made it up as he went along. But he was a nothing baseball prospect in terms of his ability at that time. So it's on you guys to figure that out, scout it, figure out who the next $800 million player is. We just like a little percentage of that over here. Thanks so much, Coach. USC baseball season starts February 14, so check them out. Go to usctrojans.com for their full schedule. When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all Buena. Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lager is Baja-inspired and imported from San Diego. Located near you at findoutstonebrewing.com. And fight on Trojans and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Little football roundtable coming up next on Trojans Live.